From the Mapleview Animal Hospital studios, this is the WHTC Morning News with Gary Stevens and Feg McNichol on 99.7, 1450 WHTC and WHTC.com.
Welcome back to the WHTC Morning News for this Tuesday, September the 1st. Tuesday mornings, we have a chance to chat about what's going on in Washington with one of the two men who represent the Lakeshore in the U.S. House. He is Congressman Fred Upton. He's on the other side of our Zoom connection this morning. Fred, good morning, and welcome back to WHTC.
Well, good morning to you as well.
It is a good morning, and it has been a pleasant summer. Let's get some rain, and that would be nice. And it deals with the farming situation. You had a chance to meet with the U.S. Department of Agriculture, the Agriculture Secretary, Sonny Perdue, last week. And it looks as if that meeting and maybe some past work with Secretary Perdue has come to a little bit of fruition about extending waivers for students and food. Tell us all about it.
Well, that's right. The food stamp program and school nutrition are very important, particularly in times like these. And the way that the system normally works is that schools are reimbursed often for breakfast, but also the school lunch program based on kids actually attending school. Well, this year is going to be a little bit different. A lot of our schools are going to e-learning, maybe a couple days a week. So their attendance is not going to be like it has been in the past. And without a waiver, then the schools will lose money and the kids aren't going to get fed. So early, the Secretary of Agriculture, rightly so, made a decision to grant a waiver through September. But as we all lament, this thing did not end at Easter, right? It's going to continue, and we've got to continue. I've done a lot of outreach to our school superintendents around the district. Some were truly frantic about this as the school year now has started. And without an extension of that waiver, I raised it with the Secretary of Agriculture when he was in Kalamazoo. Prompted me to do a letter to him as well, and bingo. We got the result that we were looking for. We got the waiver really through the rest of the year. So that's very important, a real relief for our schools, but even more important for the kids that really need those meals. Some of our schools, believe it or not, have a percentage of 70% of the kids qualify for that nutrition assistance. You can't learn on an empty stomach. It's been something that's been going on for a long time. So again, get a little bit of a silver lining for sure, but it was important that the secretary be here, and we saw the whole fresh market produce that has now been given to food banks throughout our district as well.
You also briefed the Allegan County Farm Bureau on your chat with Secretary Perdue, the visit here, and some of the other farm issues as well.
Well, that's right. All of our county farm bureaus often meet for their annual meeting, little barbecues somewhere. And we had both Allegan and Van Buren this last week. I talked about the secretary's visit. Of course, I think he visited Zeeland. I know that Zeeland, I think he was with Bill Huizinga earlier that day as well. Toured a blueberry farm. Agriculture is mighty important to us here. Very diverse commodity, and it was important that the secretary firsthand, and he's a down-to-earth guy. He really is. No air about him. He's had good conversations with our growers. Of course, labor issues are something that was important, and of course, we did pass the ag immigration bill last year, which is important. Too bad I don't think the Senate's going to take it up, but it remains a top issue. And I recall that the president said when he spoke to the Farm Bureau annual meeting last year, said very directly, we need to have an immigration program that works for agriculture, and Congress, do your job. And we did in the House, passing a bipartisan bill.
We're talking with Congressman Fred Upton. Obviously, one of the national stories going on as we do this interview this morning is the president's announced plan to visit Kenosha, Wisconsin. Some racial tensions and police tensions in that area. Some of the local leaders saying they don't want the president there. It will just heighten the tensions in that regard. Are we getting to the point now where the president really can't go anywhere because nobody's going to want him around because he's going to cause so much problems, mayhem, and mischief?
Well, I know yesterday, I think he was down over the weekend, he was down in New Orleans. He was looking at the storm damage that took a number of lives. I think that it's important that he get out and about around the country to see firsthand what's going on. Obviously, real issues in Kenosha, really a stone's toss away from us. I mean, literally, it's right across the lake from us. I think all of the civil unrest, we support peaceful protest, no question about that. And I participated in a number of those over the last number of months. But the violence is something that turns all of our stomachs. It's got to, I can remember when we had some unrest in Benton Harbor a couple decades ago. I talked to my friend John Lewis. John Lewis actually came to Benton Harbor and helped calm the waters quite a bit. And then, it wasn't too soon after that the KKK wanted to come. And I asked John for advice. He said, make it a non-event. Don't let these groups get together. And so the KKK came. And as I recall, there was not a person on the streets. They walked through empty streets. Didn't get any real news. There was nothing that happened. But we made it a non-event, and that's what's happened. I think, at least as I talked to my colleague in Wisconsin who represents Kenosha, I warned him about outsiders coming in to agitate this. It's happened, unfortunately. But somehow we have to get back to what America stands for. You can protest, but let's not let it get violent. Let's not let it get out of hand. And I hope that the president's visit today will be one where he's listening. He can talk to different leaders and really try to tap down the flames of any violence that might be erupting.
We're talking with St. Joseph Congressman Fred Upton on the WHTC Morning News. I'm not certain how the schedule is going to be the day after Labor Day, but normally you're on the way to back to Washington to go back to work. But I think that's the week after, if I'm not mistaken. Am I right?
Yeah, we're supposed to have votes next week, but they canceled them. So I'll be in St. Joe. So I will be talking to you from my
okay. The reason why I brought up, normally it's our usual closing thing, but a couple of things once Congress does go back to work. Two things. First of all, the possibility of another stimulus package. There's been some noise that perhaps there might be something that the White House, the Senate Republicans can live with from majority Democrats in the House and also Mr. Schumer and the minority Democrats. Do you get the sense that perhaps we could see something once Congress reconvenes after the holiday?
Well, I hope so. There's a sweet spot that's there, and there should be one there. I was on as you know, I'm a vice chair of the Problem Solvers Caucus. We had a late night call last night, a conference call among some of us that have been part of a working group to find that sweet spot, looking at probably nearly 24 different items that really are in need. Education being one, the unemployment issue, trying to make sure that the people are not getting more on unemployment than they got on the job, which has been a disincentive for companies and businesses to bring people back. And individual stimulus checks, because again, this has lasted beyond Easter. What are we doing with evictions and rent and that type of thing? So make sure that our hospitals, our health providers are, they've taken some big debt. Can we forgive that? Can we make this part of a package? And of course, we have the outline of a plan that passed the House without any Republican support, in fact, significant Democrat opposition, but it was too expensive, $3.5 trillion to round. The Senate package by Mitch McConnell was a little bit low, but one of the items that we need is liability relief for lots of folks too. So long story short, a good hour or two meeting last night on a conference call. We're making progress. Our objective is to try to share with the leadership, here's where we are. We have Republicans and Democrats on board with this. Get your act together. Let's get going and let's get this done in September now that it's here, and maybe make it part of the continuing resolution so we make sure that we don't have a shutdown. God forbid that happen before the end of the month. But we're making real progress. In essence, our group is there. We've got just a few little tweaks to make. But we're hoping to make a presentation to the leadership on both sides of the aisle to show here's where we are. 50 members, if we can get 50 members on both sides of the aisle for this, why can't we get the Senate and the House together and get a bill that the president can sign? And we've had discussions with the White House as well.
He is Congressman Fred Upton. He joins us on Tuesday mornings to talk a little bit about some of the issues of the day. Fred, as always, we appreciate your time. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. Look forward to chatting with you again next Tuesday after the Labor Day holiday. Thank you, sir.
You bet.
Thank you very much, Fred Upton on 99.7 and 1450 WHTC.